Hello, this is another tough video, tell a friend video, and this time on the topic, the power of avatar-based thinking. Now, in order to explain that a little bit, like number one would be, that is my brain and I see my brain, I have one brain and, I think something and, then there is this nice saying, how can I know what I think if I do not hear what I say? So it would be like, you use what you have in your brain, you say it, and then you kind of hear what you say and you get the reaction of others. So this is kind of an external thinking, which is like not a lot of self-reflection, and so it's kind of a very basic thing. I do things, I think things, and then I see what what the environment reacts, is the environment's reaction. Now there is obviously also the possibility, that is what we have, to rethink. So we think this is me and what would happen if I do something. So I kind of reflect. So it's like this number one, I would say like number one plus. Yeah, number one plus is maybe good. But then there is number two, the way, and that is the devil's advocate. No? Devil's advocate. This is what everybody knows. You have some thought in yourself, but you have kind of a little parrot, sitting on your shoulder saying oh, is that right? Oh, is that right? So you have kind of the plus and minus. Now the colors may be diverse, but you have the plus and minus in your head and you discuss it with your devil's advocate. And then the number two is, so that is number 2A. And then number 2B, I would say now I go into the three brain model. Yeah, because your brain, everybody's brain is made out of different parts, and for this the three brain model, it's many more subparts, but here I like to use the three brain model, which is the intellect, which is the limbic system, and which is the reptile brain. And now this 2B is that I recognize, so it's kind of wow, yeah, I put it with an exclamation mark. So I wake up, I wake up and I see how my brain works. And now this is, I've done several videos to that. If there's no fear in me, if there's reptile brain and fear, that's a problem, then I do fear-based thinking, which is hardly any thinking. If I have no fear and my reptile brain has put his feet up, then my limbic system tells me these are my goals, I want to reach that goal, I want to go there, and I'd like to have this nice feeling. And then the reptile brain, what it does, it asks the intellect to actually make sure that the things that the limbic system thinks about and how it feels will actually get back the reasons. So this is, once I have understood that my brain works like that, I can actually be very careful if now I'm in afraid mode. Okay, if I'm in afraid mode, then I'm not intellectually very challenged, very sophisticated. If I'm in love, I also, intellectually maybe not very high level. Or if I'm hungry, hunger or something else, anger, then also the limbic system and especially the intellect is actually then switched off. So once I have understood this, I can take actions so that I react with the brains I want to react with. So if I'm in love, I want to react with my limbic system, I want to, and so on. So and if I'm in a fight, I might want to react with my reptile brain. And if I want to reason about something, I want to be in my intellect. So if you have understood this, you are level 2. And now level 3 is kind of a pseudo mode, and that is the NLP mode. And this means I have 3 positions, NLP positions, which is I see myself. So that's me and I see myself. It's a little bit like this. And then there is I see the other person. So that's me, that's the other person. And now what I do is I move into that brain, and then I view myself from his position. So that is number 2. So position 2, position, so P2, P1. And then P3 is a nice position. That is actually the one, if I now would think about us two, or the world, here could be more people, yeah? So I go into position 3 and I look at me and how I react with the world and with others. And so that is NLP. But NLP does not go into the 3 brain model and so on. So therefore I put it in parentheses. And now the title of this video is Avatar-Based Thinking. And here I put on number 4, although I have to put that in brackets. It's the 1 time 100 brains, or using 100 brains. And that means I use, for example, the intellect, or the wrongly, and that is why I don't like this here. It is okay. It's better than kind of here, this one, but it is, I take a brain as 1 unit, and then I say I have 100. So what would the other person feel now or think now in a thinking way, generic, without considering the 3 brain model. So that means I then kind of have in my back of my head, I have these avatars, and and I think, what would he say? What would he say? And so on. And now this is the kind of the problem with this is that it doesn't consider the 3 brain model. And so therefore I've created this number 5, which is 3 times 100 brains. So avatars, yeah? So it's 3 times. So and now the interesting thing is that I now can think using, so I have those avatars in my head. So I have different people in my head, the models of different people I have in my head. And that's fantastic. So whenever I discuss something, I can imagine a person X. I know him maybe well, I know her maybe well, I know how she or he discusses. So I try to understand where's the intellect, where's the emotional, where is the reptile, fear-based or anger-based decisions. And I can then map that into my brain, and usually that works within seconds, 1 second, and I have that brain. So I don't have to use this where I say something and the other person reacts. So this takes minutes, while this is something that is in a split second. I just imagine other people, and then I know he feels like that, and so on, and I have that in my brain. And that is fantastic, especially if I do not favor, and that's very, very important, I do not favor, my brain is not higher than the other brains, yeah? So they are equal. So if I accept these brains as equal to mine, then I'm fine. Then I have an unbiased view. And so I write that maybe here, unbiased thinking. Yeah, so that is unbiased thinking. If I accept that these 100 brains that I have in my head have the same saying as my own, and then, this is kind of the top you can reach. At least, maybe there is a 6, number 6 and number 7, but I haven't kind of come across these yet. Now, there's 3 important things now. Now, very, very important is, please choose, so I write that, choose your avatars and be aware of which you choose. So do not choose avatars that make you feel bad, or some, they should challenge you, but don't choose avatars that turn you down. Don't choose avatars that are always unhappy or angry or so. Yeah, so please carefully choose your avatars so that you have a kind of a bag of good and bad, and so all the different opinions, you know, some are for you, some are a little bit against or critical, some have liberal, some conservative activities, some are very active, some are passive. So the selection of avatars is very, very important. So select them well. That is an important thing. Then from the healing side, there is one thing that a lot of people say traumas are in the brain, and you have traumas there. Now, what is a trauma? A trauma, for example, means it's usually in the limbic system, you know, so you have a block of brain where you do not like to think into because it hurts. And this is a little bit inaccurate. You do not like to think into it open-minded. Open-minded means I think into an area, a dark area, and which I kind of do not want to think so much into. I want to give that to somebody else or to something that is fixed. And if I think openly into that, that means while I think, have associations to other things, maybe the thoughts of another person. And if I have that, that means I think into this black spot, into this black box, and having the thoughts of one of my avatars or many of my avatars here, and I take them with me. And that means that this black box actually then disappears, and it becomes a box that I start to like to think into it, because there's nice thoughts, there's some critical thoughts, there is, oh, maybe that wasn't too bad, and so on. And with that, I can actually get rid of my traumas. So I can use a right selection of avatars and thinking of avatars to actually break my black blocks, my traumas. And then there is also a very, very important thing for people that may have a narcissist or some other personality disorder. And now, if I, for example, have a very kind of a very fixed feeling here of, let's say, an egoistic. Let's say I only think in the reptile brain as one person, which is kind of relatively clear. Most of the people do that once they are under attack. They do not think about the 10 friends that are around. They think about themselves. But the limbic system is also something like that. If I'm in this limbic system just thinking about myself, then what could happen if you choose avatars, and now important, in the intellect. So think, if you happen to think intellectually, maybe you only, let's say, you only have an egoistic view of the world and the visions you have, egoistic visions. But while you analytically, intellectually think, you have different opinions, different avatars. What would he say? What would she say? Yeah, how did she reason? And then, if you do that often, then, because we have this connection that you think about something and somebody, something, some topic, and attached to some other thoughts, intellectual thoughts, these actually influence my feelings. And they can then influence my kind of, maybe there's an egoism in my limbic system. And then instead of having one person, me, as a limbic system kind of master, you kind of, after you have been doing that for many years, you may have 10 or more people that actually you consider when you think about your visions. And with that, I want to stop. So the avatar-based thinking, I think, is a very, very powerful means of actually getting a sane brain. Sane brain. Yeah? How to create a sane brain. That's fantastic. I really like that. And so I hope you like that too, and please give me a lot of feedback. And a lot of things might still be a little bit not fully thought through, but I think it's a good food I think that's food for thought. Thank you very much. Bye bye.